One critical thing for me is that I regard it as crucial that in any given class session, I use a wide variety of teaching techniques. To use the term of art, I'm a multimodal teacher. And so in any given class session, I will use Socratic method, I will use some small, very short lectures, I will do something graphic, I will put students in the role of teaching each other. In addition to those techniques, I use small group exercises, particularly for the analytical problems. I want them to be thinking and talking with each other so they can develop more robust, balanced, and deeper understandings. And so I have them work with each other to help develop those kinds of understandings, particularly because contract students are new to the subject and new to law school in all my contracts classes, and therefore they have trouble seeing perspectives beyond their own. For example, I discovered that students get more from cases when they read cases with problems in mind. So I added problems at the beginning of every chapter of my contracts book so that they would actually read cases the way practitioners read them. They can raise their score to a pass by writing a reflection essay about how their results will change how they go about studying for the and preparing for the next test. Because I want them also to develop into the kind of reflective practitioners who self-assess their process and think about how to get better at it, just as they'll need to do in practice when they do a deposition and they don't do as well as they would have liked. They want to be thinking about how to do it better the next time. And I also give a midterm in that first semester. And in the second semester, one of my goals is to teach them basic drafting skills. So they do 5, it's not an entire contract that they're drafting, it's 1 or 2 or maybe 3 contract clauses. And I give them individualized feedback on those drafting exercises because my final exam has a very short drafting experience. I want them prepared for that. And I also let them select a contract that they want to become an expert in, and they have to write a short paper explaining the contract sort of towards the end of the semester in light of all the doctrinal principles that we've learned in the course. Oh, and I also use clickers in my teaching where I put a multiple choice question up on the screen and the students select the answer they believe to be correct, and then we debrief it. Sometimes I deliberately build questions for which there are 2 plausible answers because I want them to see that they and their peers are developing arguments on both sides, something that students struggle with a lot. And what happens when I don't use clickers in that kind of a context is that the first student who speaks gives the rest of the students a perception that there's only one way to analyze the particular problem, and so other voices are stifled. And so by having them immediately know that about half the class saw one argument as persuasive and the other half thought the other argument was persuasive, they immediately have permission to develop those arguments in a more sophisticated way.